College life and binge drinking seem to go hand in hand, but too often that pairing ends tragically. More than 1,800 college students between the ages of 18 and 24 die every year from alcohol-related injuries, car crashes included. Almost 60% of college students ages 18 to 22 drank alcohol in the past month, and 2 of 3 engaged in binge drinking.
Joining us on the KOGO News Live Line is addiction specialist from Healing Spring Center, Steve Paul. Hi there, Steve.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
So put this in perspective for us. How bad is this problem?
Well, this is nothing's really changed in the 40 years since I was in college, and I'm sure you experienced the same thing. It's like a rite of passage, and the problem is that with especially kids and our brains are developing till our mid-20s. There's just it's a really serious issue, and it's so accepted, that's what you do. The social scene in college is as important as academics when people get there, and it's just a serious problem, and it's something that people don't look at alcohol quite as seriously as they look at drugs, and yet the problem and the results are just as bad.
So why do they do it? It seems like they get into college and just lose it.
Well, it starts even for a lot of people before college. I mean, in high school, people are starting to experiment and dabble and, steal booze from their parents. And it's a learned behavior, just like everything else. They see friends and they see their parents, and they see it on now on social media and on television and on movies. And it's a way to be cool. It's a way to be accepted. And if you get to college and you're not willing to drink and go out and have a good time, you're an outcast.
Is it more young men or young women?
Well, that's an interesting and a good question. It used to be a lot more heavily weighted towards the men, and yet women in the last 10 years, in the last decade, have really caught up. And it's almost a 50-50 proposition at this point. And I don't have the answer for why that is. It's just that's what the stats show us, is that women are binge drinking almost as much as men now. And, the interesting thing is when you think of binge drinking, you think of crazy, 5, 7, 10 drinks an hour. And it's really not. Binge drinking is defined as, 4 drinks an hour every couple hours for women and 5 drinks for men every couple hours. So if you figure you're going out to have a good time on a Friday or Saturday night, and you're out from, say, 8 to 1 or 2 in the morning, and you have 10 drinks, that's binge drinking. So, and I know a lot of people don't think that's a big deal.
Ooh, it sounds much-ish to me. And I like to drink.
But, what can be done, if anything?
Well, I think it always comes down to awareness, and it has to be talked about. I don't think a lot of people are really aware of the number of kids that are dying, and I think if that was talked about, and I think it's up to colleges to be more aware of what's going on. I think the whole fraternity and sorority life is something that keeps it going, and I just think that people need to talk about it, and that's the problem that we have. When we see that, with the treatment that we do up at Healing Springs Ranch, it's just getting it out of the shadows and talking about it. And for whatever reason, the stigma of drugs and alcoholism is just something that people don't want to talk about. But it's, I have kids, and you just don't want to lose your kid from some silly mistake like that. That's just it's a very sad situation, and it's just got to be talked about.
Steve Paul, an addiction specialist from Healing Spring Center, with us here on the KOGO News Live Line. Thank you for the info, Steve. We appreciate it.
I sure appreciate you having me. Thank you.